Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Shay, and you are watching Shay with the Hobbies. Y'all don't know how many times I have tried to shoot this video. Oh my goodness, it is finally here. Episode 1 of Reading is Research, a series where I will be reading fiction and nonfiction from the late 1800s and early 1900s in an effort to become a better, more well-rounded historical fiction writer. If you have been watching my channel since the beginning, then you know that originally I said I would never write historical fiction, and now that I'm older and wiser, I see the benefit of it, and I do believe that my contribution to the culture of my community and my gift as far as being able to add blackness in writing would be historical fiction. And so in doing that, I know that while I was raised in a very pro-black home and I did read a lot of great stories and a lot of great nonfiction from the late 1800s, early 1900s, including slave narratives, I have not read those with the eyes and maturity of 33 years, right? And so I want to go back and read those, and I want to look at those with a critical eye, and I want to be able to use those to incorporate into my fiction properly. And so that is what this series is about. Now, before we get into my thoughts on the first book in the series and what we're going to be going into, I would like to say this. All of my thoughts come as a pro-black American woman raised by a pro-black American woman. I understand that some of my thoughts and feelings may not jive well with you if you are not of those things, and that is perfectly okay. I do ask that if you do have thoughts that disagree with what I'm saying, that you express those respectfully in the comments, and we have a good dialogue about that there. Just keep it cute. All right, without further ado, I'm going to be talking about Black No More by Georgia S. Schuyler. It was recommended to me by Bree Locke-Letition as a part of her Black Classics read. I will link her channel and the live in which I heard about the book and the discussion in the description box below. Black No More is described on the back as, according to Max Disher, an ambitious young black man in 1930s New York, someone of his race only has 3 alternatives: get out, get white, or get along. Incapable of getting out and unhappy with getting along, Max leaps at the remaining possibility. Thanks to a certain Dr. Junius Crookman and his mysterious process, Max and other eager clients develop bleached skin that permits them to enter previously forbidden territory. What they discover in white society, however, gives them second thoughts. Now, this story was very interesting to me. Now, I knew that the premise was, you know, black people turning white from the live when I was going into it, and the thought process intrigued me. But then as I got into the story, there were different things that I had to pull out my Reading is Research notebook and write about. And a few of the things that I wanted to talk about in this video were, first, that Max is so infatuated with this woman that he meets at this bar who insulted him from jump, that there's this need to get this unattainable goal, that this insulting him and not wanting him from jump made it that she wanted it so bad. And it played in my mind with this concept of when we have had conversations in, like, when Black Women Speaks, or just in different conversations in general about dating, in interracial dating and black men and women. There's been so many conversations about just this, the wanting to get this unattainable goal with dating outside your race. And this is illustrated in Max trying to get this woman, and throughout the story he remarks on how unintelligent she is, how she has nothing to offer, she's just a pretty face. But he has put so much on this from the beginning that it's like he can't acknowledge or allow himself to admit that he knows it's not as good as he convinced himself it was, and that it's honestly utterly beneath him. But it looks nice. And because it looks nice, and it had the ability to reject him, he still wants it. And that concept just kind of like nagged at my mind throughout the story, because another point that stuck out to me is that throughout the story, Max is obsessed with not feeling the pain of blackness, but he longs for the camaraderie of it. so many times throughout the story does he miss blackness? Does he miss being able to dance? Does he miss being able to enjoy the music? Does he miss being able to enjoy the conversation? Does he miss blackness? But the suffering that white supremacy attached to it outweighed in his mind initially the wealth of everything else that came with blackness. And that is interesting, because I have said so many times, I think that white America, or the majority of society, is fascinated with black pain, black trauma, black suffering. I think this is evident in majority, if not all, right? Majority, if not all. Correct me if I'm wrong, but majority for sure. I can't say all, but majority of Academy Awards won by black people have been for roles that have traumatic things in them. They are not at all for roles that are consistently uplifting, amazing pinnacles of community to respect and look up to. Never that when it comes to that, because what white supremacy, what the majority likes to honor in us or sees as worth honoring, deals with pain and suffering. And so it was interesting to me how for Max, blackness was reduced to the suffering that he had to endure at the hands of white supremacy, that he forgot all the other good things that came with it. It was also interesting because in 1931, integration is not really a topic, right? But because of Black No More being introduced into society, integration just happens. It is a thing. And so when this happens, the conversation and all the people who turned white but didn't expect black causes to fall because of the loss of solidarity or the migration away from black businesses, like, it was just interesting to think about how 30 years before we already had a sneak peek of what was going to happen, right? Because if you've been around my channel for any amount of time, you know that I say that black people asked for equality and what we got was integration, right? And even in this integration in the story, it was like, we got to find ways to show that we're not all the same. Like, yeah, we all look white, but y'all just aren't us, and so we're going to do things to keep us different, right? And there's even a point in the story where the story where it says that the lower class of white people need to be preoccupied with hating black people so as not to care that they're in the same predicament as black people, just so long as they're not black. And I just think it's so interesting because this book is written 90 years ago. And to be having the exact same conversations, like, we talk about how much things have changed, right? How much have things truly changed for a man born in 1895 to be having the same conversations as me born in 1990? Right? So it caused me to want to look up George S. Schuyler and do some more research on him. And while doing research on him did not lead me to smile, learning more about him definitely made me feel a little negatively about him, right? Because, like, that's going to be more in episode 2, because we're going to talk about, like, the people that wrote the stories and what made them write the stories and what they could be going through or dealing with and what was going on at the time, right? Because I think that's just as important, right, as what is going on. I think it's interesting because it is a point in the story where it's like, white supremacy needs to be the foundation because white people will act against their own interests in favor of color. This is on page 84 of the book, right? We saw this with the 2016 election. Like, it's just so many different things that I thought were so interesting. So interesting. And so in this series, I'm just having a very good time taking a magnifying glass to the conversations that the ancestors that came before me were wanting to have with their writing and what they were wanting to say, because I do truly believe that there is nothing new under the sun. And I don't think that, you know, I do believe that there aren't a lot of new stories. There are new ways to tell them. And I want to come up with new ways to tell my stories. And so I gotta read. So this isn't necessarily how I thought the episode was going to turn out, but it is the episode we came up with, so I'm glad for that. I do thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to watch this. Do let me know if you've read Black No More, what your thoughts on it. Let me know if there are other books that you think that I should include in my Reading is Research series, and the list will continue to grow as I go through it. Definitely let me know your thoughts on anything that I said, anything that you may disagree with, anything that you do agree with, all of those lovely things. I do appreciate you taking time out your day to watch this. I will see you guys in the next one. It probably won't be next week, maybe the week after, as I am finishing up the Conjure Woman and Other Tales by Chester Chestnut, or Charles W. Chestnut, and Black Like Me by John Howard Griffin. So I will talk to you guys about that one in the next one. I'll see you later. Bye.